I'm in here, ready to go. And we're going to talk about Dana White, him being done with the UFC. So Marty says, I would be done too if I was Dana. So I got something to say about it. All right, perfect. We're back. We're back at it right now. Let me just make sure that everything is, on and cracking right here, okay? Let me make sure that everybody's here. Drop some comments right now. Let me know that you are here. And we'll get it cracking in just a second. All right, we'll be on in a couple of minutes. Let me just make sure I got all the other. We're gonna start off in a couple of minutes. Okay, so start it off. Damn it, man. Okay, so 2 minutes. We're gonna talk about Dana White and the UFC and the future of where this is heading. Okay, so. Sanchez says, hey, handsome, how's it going? How's your morning going? Very good, very good. Let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. Let me know what part of the world you are from. We're going to get started in about 1 minute or so. Let me know if you can hear my audio is okay. Drop on the comment section below. Let me know if the... yeah, Ohio. Okay, so you're from Ohio. Okay, I got a moderator in here that's from Ohio. If he is here, yeah, please, write on the comment section below that you're here, my man. He says it sounded good. Okay, good. All right, good, perfect. So, check this out. In 20 seconds, we're going to talk about Dana White. All right? We're going to talk about Dana White and his reason for being uninterested in the president of being in the UFC. Being the president of the UFC is not interested in it at all. We're going to talk about that. So here it goes, right? 10 minutes ago, Marty starts off in the stream saying, I would be done too if I was Dana White. Let me explain exactly what that means, right? If he was Dana White, he would be done too, but he's not Dana White because Dana White has a different life trajectory than he does, right? So for example, you yourself, you may have different goals than, let's say, the next person, right? Dana's whole entire goal was to make the UFC mainstream. He already did that. Goal accomplished. So now that he got that goal accomplished, what is the next accomplishment that he needs to take care of? The White House. That is another big feat. Right? New York in 2016, 10 years ago, was a very big feat for Dana White. Just being able to bring it to New York was a big feat in and of itself, right? So that's what we have going on with Dana White. However, the thing is that he feels already accomplished, right? He feels like this machine called the UFC is already running on its own. When the UFC is running on its own, what you have is a situation where you basically don't need to do a lot. You don't need to do a lot if you are the president of the UFC, because it is already a self-sufficient running machine. In other words, there's guys that are always going to be gunning to fight in the UFC. So the recruitment is a lot easier for, let's say, matchmakers, a lot easier for recruiters, a lot easier for scouts, right? I'm sure the UFC has scouts beyond just the matchmakers, right? Or at least I would think they do. I know that most professional soccer teams in the Premier League and the MLS, all the way down to Bundesliga and the Spanish leagues, they all have scouts, right? In order to recruit the next upcoming talent. And understand that finding talent is not as easy as you think it is in the UFC, okay? There was a point where American stars were the biggest stars in the UFC, okay? Chuck Liddell, Matt Hughes. But then what happened? The landscape of mixed martial arts in the UFC started to increase, right? Their notoriety started to increase. Not only that, they started to gain different types of followings around the world. And not only that, it inspired many young men around the world to get in there and compete for the UFC. Okay, so that is where the UFC is at right now. It is a self-sufficient league. You don't have to do much about it. Now, here's the thing. Here's something I'm very skeptical about, right? Did ESPN make their bottom dollar when it comes to the UFC? Did they make the money that they wanted to make in the UFC? And the answer is we don't know. Because a lot of that is secret. A lot of that is behind the scenes. And sometimes the UFC has a very hard time of putting their numbers out there. And with good reason. You put your numbers out there, what happens? It's embarrassing. You may not get the type of deal that you got from Paramount. Or maybe Paramount looked under the hood, saw that the UFC had all of these things going on, and realized, you know what, maybe this is a lucrative idea for us. Free TV, everybody's going to watch it, and we're going to get all the commercials around the world. Look, here's something you guys got to understand about the Paramount deal, right? Just because there are no more pay-per-views, you have to take into consideration that there will be commercials. And the fact that you still have premium pay-per-view stars out there like Conor McGregor, like John Jones, and don't even get me started. The minute that John Jones decides he wants to come back and fight, that right there is pay-per-view madness in and of itself, okay? It's a lot of interest that goes into that. For example, the interest that goes into that is the fact that, well, John Jones could fight Tom Aspinall. Maybe that's something that a lot of people would be interested in. Maybe there's people out there that want to see John Jones fight Alex Pereira. Whoever it is, whoever is qualified enough or has enough status right now to fight John Jones, you better believe that is going to be a very lucrative, a very, very, very lucrative deal for the UFC to throw him in there. Because people are going to want to watch it. People are going to want to tune in. And guess what? You may have to pay a little bit extra from Paramount. Okay, so now let's get back to Dana White. Why is he uninterested in all of this? Because he got over all of this. I'm going to give you guys an example. Anybody here ever bought a house? Because I know there's a lot of people in here that will never really feel the joy of that, right? They will never understand the concept of owning a house or, well, okay, let me put it like this, right? If you ever come up and you buy your house, right, it is the most joyful thing ever, right? You got a new place, it's big, it looks spacious. After a while, that house just looks like, how do I say this, another house or just a place for you to live. It doesn't really feel much like anything. After a while, that magic goes away. When you buy a new car, it feels like the grandest joy ever. You know what I mean? The grandest joy ever. You just bought yourself a new car. Grandest joy. Great. Here's the problem. Here's a problem with that. After a while, it gets old. After a while, it's like, whatever. No big deal. I live here. I'm used to living here. There it goes right there. There's the kitchen sink. The real big kitchen sink. There's the, oh, okay. There's a little detour right here. Okay. Yeah, so after a while, there's the kitchen sink, there's the garage, everything looks familiar. That is where Dana White is at right now. I need you guys to understand where Dana White is at his career right now, right? He is at a career point right now where he doesn't care because everything is working at a self-sufficient manner. I need you guys to understand that, right? There's no more challenges. There's nobody that can really rival the UFC the way that, let's say, Pride FC rivaled the UFC back in the days. There's no one really out there like that. There's no one out there that yeah, can really rival the UFC to any degree. So what exactly does Dana White work for? What exactly is he working for? What exactly is the goal? Well, he said that in 2026 there's going to be a new goal, and we're going to try to pass that. And then by 2027, there's a new goal. We're going to try to pass that. We're going to try to pass everything that we did in 2026. Basically sounded like a typical, how do I say this? A typical conference call. A typical business conference call. You know those conference calls that you do when you're doing like weekly or quarterly announcements, right? Oh yeah, you know, this is the top seller of the company during this month, right? This guy sold this much, he did this much, this, that, and the other, and yeah, that is the conversation behind it. Connor Siller says the UFC is completely monopolized. Dana has lost all the fire that he used to have. Yes. He says they make more money every year. What is your beef? I don't have a beef with the UFC. Are you mistaken that I have beef or some kind of issue with the UFC towards their practices? Or not at all, man. Look, I don't have any beef at all. In fact, here's the thing, right? I'm doing this story because it is you, the fans, that have beef with all of this. Not you per se, and not you specifically, the proverbial you. Right? It is you guys out there that has these problems with the UFC. Me, on the other hand, I happen to like the Joe Pfeiffer and Israel Adesanya fight, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Right? Well, okay, I'll tell you right now. The reason why I like this fight so much is because it smells competitive architecture. Okay? This is the fight that needs to happen. Israel Adesanya is coming off of a loss from Imavov, and as a result, he has to come in there and fight the gatekeepers or guys that are climbing those ranks up there in the UFC right now. And that happens to be none other than Joe Pfeiffer, right? He is in a perfect position right now to be fighting Israel Adesanya, especially after the Kelvin Gastelum fight. So that is perfect. He says, that's what it sounded like. I was asking. Okay, yeah, no problem, no problem. And I can understand why it looks like that as well as why it sounds like that. And let me explain why. Think of it like this, my man. If you look at the title, it literally says Dana White doesn't care, right? And for the most part, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Here's the thing, right? I still think Dana White loves what he does. However, I think there's other interests that are plaguing Dana White right now. Like, for example, the White House thing, right? He has to organize all of this. So you got to imagine the type of talks that he has with the president, on top of the president doing all of these things around the world with Venezuela, with Iran, with Russia and Ukraine, all of these international matters that the president of the United States, Donald Trump, has to attend to. Well, now Dana White is sort of immersing himself into these situations. Think about it. Everything that is going on right now with U.S. politics, the Venezuela, the Iran, the Ukraine, the Russia, all of these things, believe it or not, are a promotion for the UFC White House card. You understand? That is literally what it is. That is literally what is going on right now. What is literally going on right now is nothing more than a promotion for the UFC White House card. And look, I told you guys, there's a reason why America is doing what they do, stealing all the oil, going to different countries, taking up different resources, because right now America is in very desperate times. And they need to gain more money. They need to gain more footing in the world. They need to gain power and dominance. This is why they're going after Denmark, which you would imagine is supposed to be an ally of the United States, right? So why is the United States taking these particular steps? Well, the reason being is because I want you to think of a fiend, right? Think of a fiend, somebody that is desperate, somebody that is broke, somebody that needs to get the next high, needs to get his next fix, and just overall needs to fix his destitution in the fact that he is living in, how do I say this, living in poverty, right? How do people react in that particular matter? I'll tell you, all the hood homies that I know, whenever they're starving or whenever they have anything going on, you know what they do? They go and pull a lick. And that is a street term for basically robbing houses. Flocking houses is, is another term for that. Just robbing people, period. Robbing drug dealers, robbing fiends, robbing anybody that they could in order for them to gain what it is that they need to gain. He says, looks like your hairline had a fight with Khabib. Okay, that's very mature of you to say that. Like, do you think saying something like that is supposed to hurt my feelings? Like, do you not understand, like, that doesn't affect me in any kind of way? And you coming in here, well, let's just be honest about this, right? A lot of you that come in here and say disparaging things, or anybody that goes in any chat that says anything, look, you guys are broke. Do you understand this? You don't even have $5,000 in your bank account. Let's be honest about this. I don't know you from a can of paint. I could be wrong, but I'm speaking in general with what is going on in the majority of American lives right now. A lot of you are broke. So this idea that you want to come in here, oh yeah, there it is. You got timed out. Yup. Get up out of here. You got timed out. He says, is there a need to comment on the guy's hairline? Yeah, man. I mean, look, I can tell you that at least I'm not fully bald. You know what I mean? At least I still got some hair. At least I don't got a horseshoe going on. And to be honest with you, I've had the same hairline since I was in my 20s. Or maybe even my 30s. I know I probably had, it wasn't as pushed back as it was then, but yeah. He says, T. Gray, it's a pretty homosexual comment on another man's hair. Yeah, facts, bro. Facts. Facts. Really. You know what? You know what's crazy? There's people out there that call other people bald, yet they listen to Andrew Tate or they listen to Tupac, right? And I don't know what to tell you, man. That sounds like ambitions of a hypocrite to me. Reference to Tupac's songs, Ambitions of a Rider. But yeah, he says, high testosterone man. Is that really what it is, man? Is it really a correlation to high testosterone if you have, a receding hairline, if you're balding in any kind of way, right? Now, I know Tupac, he had alopecia issues, right? Which is why his whole entire hair just was gone in his early 20s, right? That's the reason why Tupac was in that situation. But yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know if that's a correlation or not. Yeah, it can definitely contribute to it. Okay, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. Well, I tell you what, a lot of champions in the UFC over the past have been bald. Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad, who's the 170 champ right now. Obviously, it is Islam Makhachev. No, he doesn't have that problem. He will get there, or maybe he won't. I know his dad is, has a little bit of a receding hairline. He kind of looks like Islam Makhachev, but an older version with a receding hairline. So yeah, man. There that goes right there, man. Maybe Islam Makhachev's dad had high testosterone as well. So that's what it is, guys. So listen, if Dana White is uninterested, the reason why he is uninterested is because you need to understand that Dana White has been doing this for a long time. He's been doing this for a long time, and as a result of doing it for a long time, what are you supposed to do, right? What is the next goal? What is the next accomplishment? He's already accomplished everything that he wanted as a promoter. They monopolize the whole game. Nobody can challenge them. And they can literally tell fighters to F off at a drop of a hat. And that also includes Conor McGregor. That also includes John Jones. And they've proven it. They've proven, you know what? There's this term in the gang world, right? It's called nobody's bigger than the program. Meaning that nobody is bigger than the group. Nobody is bigger than the organization. Boy, let me tell you, the UFC really holds that moniker with a solid fist, okay? They really hold that down in a very solid manner, because there is no disputing the UFC's monopoly at all. There is no disputing the UFC's capabilities. There is no disputing the fact that everybody will come to the UFC eventually. So that's the reality of this whole thing. All right, guys, listen, I will be right back, okay? Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Just need to do something real quick. He says you have to be genetically predisposed to it. Thanks, Victory. I have a hope. Brad Pitbull says, all right, we'll address that in a second. I'll talk amongst you guys in the chat. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. All right, here we go, guys. All right. So, all right. Here we go. We're back. Okay. So, yeah, so what were we talking about? Yeah, so hairlines and high testosterones and all of that, right? Um, Here we go. We're in Midtown Sacramento right now, to be exact, y'all. So, all right, man. Okay, so going back to Dana White, right? There's another bald guy right there that we can talk about right there. So with Dana White, here's the thing about Dana White, right? Dana White is absolutely bored with everything, okay? Because he's already seen it all. What is next to accomplish? There's really nothing else to accomplish, so that is why he goes after, let's say, slap fighting, right? Believe it or not, slap fighting has the same effect that MMA did back then. You see, you don't really see it right now because right now MMA is so mainstream, right? Now, we can project and say, all right, well, you know what? Slap fighting is never going to be that mainstream. It's never going to get on that level that Dana White said that it will. But you never know. Back then, everybody said the same thing about the UFC. Nobody projected that the UFC was going to be the type of fighting sport that was going to be held at the White House. Okay? Brad Pitt says, slap is crazy. So here's the thing about it, right? I get what Dana White is trying to say about slap fighting. I understand why it resonates to him, but I also understand why it resonates with a lot of people that don't train, that don't understand martial arts. In particular, the casual. See, this is something that a lot of people never talked about with slap fighting, right? Dana White is using the casual audience of MMA. In other words, the people that say, you know what? I don't like all this wrestling stuff. I don't like all this technical boxing or running around. All these things that casuals say about, quote unquote, a boring fighting style. He's taken that audience and he's supplementing them into the world of slap fighting as to say, hey, you know what? You don't like slap fighting? I'm sorry, you don't like MMA? Here's slap fighting. Okay, let's do slap fighting. Here it is. It's simple, it's easy, there's no technique. It's straight down to the point and straight down to the pipe. That's what it is. That's what Dana White is trying to do. So, yeah, it is crazy, but at the same time, man, it's not the best, form of fighting entertainment. It really isn't. But But people eat it up. The reason why a lot of people eat it up is because it's easy to consume. MMA is a lot harder to consume, although it can be just as simple as, you know what, it's a street fight. This is what a street fight looks like. This is why I always say that if you have two celebrities that are trying to fight or trying to have, like, let's say a celebrity boxing match or something like that, right? I think MMA is a much better endeavor to get into for them rather than, let's say, boxing. Because in boxing, you actually need technical skills to compete in boxing and for it to really look appeasing, right? For it to look appealing in any kind of way. That's what you got to do. Yeah, man. Dana White is absolutely checked out, though, man. He's absolutely checked out. I think Dana White is burnt out. I'm going to just say it like that, right? I think he's burnt out. Dana White works way too much. A lot of people complain that Dana White doesn't work at all, or because, you know, he doesn't show up to Apex cards or any of the smaller events. And sometimes he doesn't even show up at the bigger events, right? But you guys don't understand what Dana White does behind the scenes. You don't understand the type of depth, not depth, but the type of depth of work that he has to do. In other words, every time there is a new venue that they are proposing, right? He has to talk to commissioners. He has to talk to the owners of the venue. He has to schedule a time in which, let's say, all right, if we're going to have a fight in Sacramento right here in the Golden One Arena, which I'm about to show you right here, right? The Golden One Arena is right here. Right? Let's say if Dana White wants to have a fight right here in the Golden One Arena here in Sacramento, right? Let's say he wants to have a fight right there. He has to make sure that the Kings are not playing that day, that Kendrick Lamar is not going to, have a concert there, or Chris Brown or whoever. What is this? Maximus just said Kayla Harrison pulled out. Oh my goodness. I missed you, bro. When did we talk last? I forgot. Huh. Okay. When did we last talk? Sean Boy. I believe in the previous stream before that. So, man, welcome, man. Good seeing you. So is that confirmed, man? Is that confirmed that Kayla Harrison has pulled out? Let me know right now. Is that confirmed that Kayla Harrison has pulled out? This is the first time that I'm hearing Kayla Harrison has pulled out right now. And if so, what does that mean for Amanda Nunes? Are they going to have an interim fight? Who's going to replace Amanda Nunes? She's injured. Yeah, of course she's injured, man. You know, this, like, judoka people, Olympians in general, right? Not just judokas or people of that fighting discipline, but these people, man, they're always injured because they're always overtraining. Look, Kurt Angle said it best, right? I want a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. Yeah, well, why did you even have a broken neck in the first place? You're going into the 1996 Olympics and you got a broken neck? What's going on here, man? How you got a broken neck? A herniated disc is the issue. Okay. He says, I hope you become a professional UFC fighter, bro, and make loads of money. Inshallah, brother. Inshallah. Although I think my fighting days are way behind me right now, right? Even though I could go out there and win on the regionals and get a few wins from younger guys or whatever. Yeah, I think my time in MMA is completely, finished. Maybe boxing. Maybe I'll get in there and do boxing, or if it's like one of them MMA fights were like, all right, hey, listen, let's go show up and let's fight, me and you, right? Like one of them type of things, like beef or something like that. Yeah, I'll go and, you know, and run it up. But what I won't run up is, you know, like a run for either the UFC or run for contendership or anything like that. He says, I just got in. What's up with Dana quitting? Oh, no. Is that what I made it sound like, that Dana White is quitting? No. But I tell you what, Dana White is not quitting. Let me be very firm and let me be very firm and assertive about this, right? Let me be very assertive and firm about this. Dana White is not quitting. Now, did I make it seem like that? Yes, because guess what? It garners views. It garners, well, clickbait. It garners a little bit of clickbait. It garners a little bit of interest. It garners a little bit of it garners a little bit of curiosity. Is Dana White really quitting? Is Dana White really done with the UFC? No, he's not. But a lot of you, here's the thing, right? A lot of you hate your jobs, right? Can we be honest about that? Let's be honest about this. A lot of you hate your jobs. You do. Okay? Even me, there were some jobs that I really worked hard to try and get, and then when I finally got them, it's like, man, you know what? This is what we do all day. It's like, what the heck is all this? Yeah, one of them things. You guys hate your jobs. The reason why you hate your jobs is because of the monotony. You guys are doing the same thing every day, or this and that. You know, they say, find something that you love to do and you never work a day in your life. Man, all of that is BS, bro. Because you know what? If I could be a full-time streamer and it was the only thing that I would do, don't get it twisted. If I could be a full-time streamer and it's the only thing that I could do, like I'm talking like Kai Cenat money, yeah, I would probably be very thankful about it. I would be gracious about it, more so than Dana White, because let's be honest about this, Dana White is morally inferior, okay? And here's a shocking to a lot of you people out there, Dana White is an atheist. Dana White doesn't believe in anything. That's what I think, right? So when anybody has a go at Dana White saying, oh, well, you're a MAGA guy, you're Trump's best friend, or this and that. Listen, guys, I'm going to tell you, even Donald Trump himself doesn't believe in anything. These guys don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything. All this, you know, performative outrage, performative cruelty that they talk about, they don't believe in anything. And how do I know this? Dana White once came across Matt Mitrione at a bar. You guys know Matt Mitrione, right? This was at the time when Matt Mitrione was leaving the UFC to go and fight for Bellator for even bigger money. You know what Dana White said to Matt Mitrione after the fact when they met at the bar? He says, hey, come here. Matt Mitrione gave Dana White the finger. And Dana White's like, huh? Scooby-Dooby-Doo? Scooby-Dooby-Doo? Me? You're giving me the finger? Why are you giving me the finger? Dana White says, come here, let me talk to you for a second. He says, listen, dude, congratulations, you beat the game. What? Man, listen, you just lost one of your biggest stars to Bellator, Matt Mitrione, right? Granted, he was getting a little bit older at that point, maybe a little bit past his prime. And you're saying congratulations to Matt Mitrione when you just lost him. Yeah, because Dana White doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't have to believe in anything. Look, he doesn't have to fight for anyone. He doesn't have to fight for Conor McGregor. He doesn't have to fight for John Jones to be at the White House. He doesn't need you. And guys like that don't believe in anything. That's really what it is. Let me read some comments here. Maximus says, Kayla really wanted to fight at the White House, so she's trying to have the belt. Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe they want to save that fight. I mean, look, Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison is White House fight material. Let's be honest, right? Okay, a few things were deleted here. Good. I probably, well, let's see what that was. He says, oh yeah, another stupid toilet talk. You know, like, yeah, disgusting toilet talk, man. Like, you people, you know, obsessed with this stupid toilet talk is really, like, annoying. He says, get out of here with your toilet humor. There it is, man. You see, Marty, he shares my sentiments in that, man. I'm not with toilet humor at all, man. Not at all, bro. You know what? In fact, bro, listen, I got into a fight with a few dudes in Marine Corps basic training, you know, based off of that. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, you think you're funny? You think you're, you know, brilliant with all these, you know, toilet jokes? All right, let's go meet in the bathroom. And for those of you that have been to Paris Island, you know what I'm talking about. Those late night bathroom fights, you know, they're like jailhouse fights. You know what I mean? You had a problem with a dude, you know, you handle your candle right there. So he's, Tooth Buds says, haha, absolutely got my curiosity. Who said that that came from privilege? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that when you said the who came from privilege? Elaborate on that for me, if you will, just a little bit. All right, so yeah, man, Dana White, he's completely. Also, man, Dana White has. He's lost interest, not just lost interest in the UFC, but in all honesty, I think that Dana White feels that, like, there's nothing left to do. That's really what it comes down to, right? He feels there's nothing left to do, and as a result of that, he's going to do what he needs to do and just kind of go through the motions. That's really what it is. Dana White is going through the motions right now, okay? He said the saying, find the job that you love. Oh, okay. Whoever said, so you're saying whoever said that came from privilege. Is that what you are stating right now? Anybody that says, you know, do a job that you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life comes from privilege. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Because, look, Dana White, he has this attitude where he acts like anybody can just make it. He acts like anybody could just have friends like the Fertitta brothers that he went to high school with in Las Vegas and somehow make it, right? Like, look, guys, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Everything that I have in life is based on privilege. I'm not one of these guys. Like, look, here's the thing, right? Do I have a little bit of a hood side to me, or this and that, a little bit of a gangster, persona to me, or this and that? Yeah. But at the same time, I make no bones about it. I come from a very privileged background, and I'm not going to act like I didn't. You see what I'm saying? So everything that I ever got in life, whether it was college or whether it was, X, Y, and Z connections from a job, that's all from privilege. Hold on a second. All right, so here's the thing about it, right? A lot of people don't like to admit they are privileged. They don't like to admit it. And the reason why they don't like to admit it is because they want the world to believe that Everything that they had accomplished was based off of their hard work. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it comes down to. Like, a lot of people like to believe that their hard work is the only thing that got them to where they're at. Look, man, do you honestly think Dana White worked hard to be in the position that he's at? I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? You know what Dana White has? Dana White has what I call social intelligence. That's what he has going on. Dana White is the quintessential socially intelligent man. Okay, that's a way to really, put Dana White in a box, right? He is a socially intelligent person. You've met a lot of people like that in your life. A lot of you have met a lot of socially intelligent people. Dana White is one of them. That is the only reason why Dana White is in the position that he's at. Think about it. I want you to think about this long and hard, okay? Does Dana White strike you? Does Dana White strike you as somebody that is mathematically intelligent? Does Dana White strike you as somebody that cares about, let's say, science or the value of science or understanding science to its full capacity? Does Dana White strike you as somebody that is innovative, like Elon Musk, to any degree? No, he's not. But let me tell you what he has an up on with the likes of guys like Donald Trump, who are mathematically smart, guys like Elon Musk, who are scientifically brilliant. What he has over them is social intelligence. Okay, and that is why he is the perfect promoter for the UFC. He has high social intelligence. Look, he understands social cues, okay? You want to know what's indicative of that? What's indicative of Dana White understanding social cues? Do you remember during the Khabib and Conor fight? Okay, hit ones on the chat below if you guys remember the Conor McGregor and the Khabib fight, okay? Because I'm about to blow your mind about Dana White, and it's going to come full circle as to why I'm telling you that Dana White is a socially intelligent person. So let me know on the comment section below if you guys remember that fight. Do you remember the Khabib and the Conor McGregor fight? And I'm going to wait for one of you guys to respond before I elaborate into this. Who remembers the Conor McGregor and the Khabib fight? Okay, because this involves Dana White in this particular matter. All right? I want you to think of it like this, right? If you remember, during that time, Dana White said that he was not going to put his belt, he was not going to put the UFC belt around Khabib. He wasn't going to do that. Why? You want to know why? Because Dana White understands social cues. He understands and has a great grasp of social intelligence. He knew if he was to wrap that belt around Khabib, who just literally committed a crime in front of everybody in Las Vegas, because let's be honest about it, right? It was all on camera. The whole world is watching. And even Dana White said it himself. Oh, the governor of Nevada was at the house tonight. Oh my goodness, the governor of Nevada was at the house tonight. Right? Constantly emphasizing this, right? He knew that people were going to wild out. He knew that people were going to riot. He knew that people were going to really go after Khabib. He knew that. He knew that. And that is the reason why Dana White is where he's at. Because this man was obviously chosen. This man was chosen to be in that position. by the Fertitta brothers. What is it that the Fertitta brothers saw in Dana White? What is it? What did they see in him? They saw social intelligence. Here's another thing about Dana White, right? There's a lot of guys out there that are like Dana White. A lot of guys out there that are like Dana White. And I need you guys to understand that they are at your job, they are at your schools, and they are at your military units if you ever served in the military, right? Basically, guys that get all the leeway, guys get all the promotion because they say all the right things and they do all the right things. But when you really break them down into their lowest common denominator, I mean, sometimes they can really be as dumb as a box. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where Dana White is at. He's one of those guys that is, well, he's kind of, he's kind of dumb in some ways, but smart in other ways. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, let me know if you guys understand the picture that I'm trying to paint with Dana White right now. Let me know if you guys understand what I'm trying to convey with Dana White, what he's about, right? Because, look, I know what you are thinking just by looking at him in face value. Dana White doesn't seem like a very impressive looking person. He doesn't look like the type of person that that would run a Fortune 500 company, right? He's very unconventional, you know, in the way that he approaches things. So, yeah, man, Dana White is where he's at for a reason. But it's not what you think. Look at this nice foggy weather this morning right now. Little bit of a nice foggy weather. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys think, man. Let me know in the comment section below. Have you ever met anyone like Dana White who is, let's say, the president of your company or has a higher position in your company and you just can't understand why? Well, it's because he has what you call high emotional intelligence. That's really what it comes down to. If you have high emotional intelligence, I guarantee you, you're going to get any job out there that you wish or desire. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's all about emotional intelligence. But yeah, that's what he has. That's what he has going on. So, but here's the thing, right? Here's another mark of that reason. Look, think about it like this, right? Would there ever be a time where you can picture anybody else other than him as as a president of the company? Could you imagine anyone else in that position? And your answer would probably be no, because for a long time he's been the staple face of that company, right? Nobody has ever really challenged that notion, right? Not Hunter Campbell, not even Joe Rogan. I don't know, maybe Joe Rogan could do his job, right? What do you think, chat? What do you think? Do you think Joe Rogan has the capabilities of doing what he does, right? Does he have the capability of doing that? I don't know, man. But Yeah, nice, beautiful, foggy day out here, huh? We got some people running out here. You know, nice foggy weather, getting those nice endorphins in. Here's a question I got for you guys. Let's see if I can add a poll here, or let me see here. How long do you guys think Dana White will stay and remain in the UFC? How about that? How about that? How about that question right there? How long will Dana White remain in the UFC? Like, how many years do you expect this guy to, yeah, to just, you know, remain as the president of the UFC? Like, is it a very sustainable job to even have in the first place? You know what I mean? Like, is it even a sustainable, you know, type of career to have, right? Like, there was one point in Dana White's life where he had a bit of a health scare, right? If you remember, that's the reason why he started, you know, implementing all of these, you know, longevity type of techniques to his repertoire of his daily routine, right? That's why you kind of started noticing how he got ripped after a while, right? So, you know, one has to wonder if, you know, if he's going to find this to be, you know, a sustainable lifestyle, you know, all throughout the years, right? And I would imagine probably not. It probably would not be, you know, the most sustainable lifestyle, but who knows? You know, we shall see. All right, guys. Well, listen, that is all that I really have for the Dana White, you know, situation right now. We're gonna get to, you know, we're gonna get to the bonus round right now. He says, no, you're living the life. Yeah, thank you. Yes, you know, just trying to live life, you know, the best way I can. So, you know, just I tell you what, listen, this is, I'm glad that you asked that question, Ali Khan, right? This is the best way to put it. The best way to put it is, I'm trying to make this into not only a second career, but also as a full-time job. Because look, this is something that I want to encourage everybody, right? I need everybody to be encouraged at the fact that, you know what, life is hard as it is already, right? Especially here in the United States. I know that I joke around with people who troll me, and I say something to the effect of, well, you don't even have $5,000 in your bank account. Do you notice how every time I say that, what is the comeback? What is the comeback? And I'm not saying this because I'm the best roaster or I'm the best, you know, diss man artist or whatever, right? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I'm the best at dissing people, you know, because they can't have a comeback after that. I'm saying that because it's a profound truth that many people are living inside the United States, and really, when they're over here busy trolling at me while trying to make a second career into, into my life, they really dawn and think about it like, you know what, you're right. I don't even have $5,000 in my bank account. This is what a lot of these people say to themselves. I don't got $5,000 in my bank account. I can't go on vacations. I don't have time to do anything else other than work until the day that I die. Right? So that is the harsh reality of many Americans. So that is why when these trolls come in here and I diss them on that, they really have nothing to say. Because then they just realize, man, you know what? My light bills are off. I'm behind the bills. My internet sucks. Yet I'm using my internet to go and troll Kyrie online. He says, not many Americans do right now. Right. And that is exactly why I say that, Marty, right? Because it literally is the best way to shut them up. Oh, hey, your hairline, this and that. Okay, boom. You don't got $5,000 in your bank account. Oh, this and that. When you sit at a certain angle, you look fat, but yet, I have live streams, that show you I do, high level athletic stuff. But okay, I say that and then that shuts down because that's the truth. Like, they really dawn and think about it like, yo, I really don't got nothing going on. And yet here I am talking shit to a dude that's already trying to, create a second path of his career. Because here's the thing, right? I told you guys, I'm a firm believer in college, right? I believe in a higher education and all of that. But there is this aspect to where many people are sort of shunning college down or whatever, right? I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like this new age Republican type of mentality. Whereas like the old school Republicans back in the days, during the Ronald Reagan days, right? Their whole mentality was, yeah, go to college, make networks out of people, work at a corporate job or this, that, and the other, right? He says, live with parents until they saved up money to buy a house, etc. Yeah. Yo, listen, you know what? And this is a weird thing about this, right? The other day, somebody said on the chat, he says, oh, you live with your parents or this and that. I'm like, bro, are you dumb? Like, my parents don't even live in the United States, you freaking idiot. Like, how would you even, you know what? And the reason why they say that is because you need to understand that they are projecting their reality. Okay, they are projecting their reality that many young men, can't just go out and live in their own houses and stuff like that, or buy their own houses because it's not the way that it used to be. So they're projecting, they're thinking like, hey, you know what, here's this guy, he's got all this going on, something isn't adding up, right? That is what you're thinking in your head. You're thinking, you know what, something isn't adding up because your life isn't adding up. So therefore, the fact that your life isn't adding up, you want me to self-reflect on the same mirror that you have to see every day, and that's just not my reality. Marty says over 80% of Americans are in debt in some kind. There's way more debt to have in just college, my man. Okay, so I'm glad that you mentioned that, right? Here's something you got to understand. There's strategies around that. There are strategies to get around college debt. That's something a lot of people don't talk about. There's debt forgiveness. There's people that do credit repairs, right? There's ways of getting around it. And unfortunately, look, a lot of people just, look, I'm not here to spill my whole entire secret, to everybody, but let me just say that college debt is a reality, but it's also not an impossibility. Okay, so there's way more debt to having. Yes, that is true. Some have colleges paid for, so no debt. Depends on the generation of Americans. Yes, that is true. That is true. So yeah, man, that's why I tell people, you know what, go out and get a second career, start a YouTube channel, or, I mean, look, this is why I tell you guys, can we really blame the Somalians? Let's be honest about this, right? I would never do what they do because for the most part, I'm a law-abiding citizen, right? For the most part, I'm a law-abiding citizen. Now, when I'm around the homies or whatever, you know what I mean? That's whatever, but that's neither here or there. Look, for the most part, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I would never do what the Somalis did. I never would have even thought about opening a school for children, okay, and somehow make it into a lucrative thing. I never would have imagined that, but they did it. They did it. You want to know why? I'm going to tell you why the Somalians got at you guys, or got at us, because obviously, me, I'm an American. Well, I'm obviously a part of all this. The reason why they got at y'all is because you're not united. These Somalians are united. Everything that I know about Somalians, okay, it is all about tribal politics, right? Group politics, working together in a cohesive unit. Here in America, it's like, you're 18, get up out of the house, go get your own. And next thing you know, you're in even higher debt. Now, next thing you know, you're paying even more for your bills and this and that. Let me read what this says right here. He says, it's crazy because even if you're making $30 an hour, it's not much money, and how many dollar jobs pay that much? Dang, yeah. Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. That's why for those that work at blue-collar jobs, I encourage you guys to use your skills to build a business. I got a buddy out here, well, somebody that I, sort of met online, but obviously when I first moved to the town that I'm living in right now, I needed, some handyman work or whatever. So, I call up this dude. By the way, his name's McCrae. Check out McCrae if you're ever in West Sacramento, right? If you have any, any repairs that you need at your house or anything like that. He's done all sorts of things for me. He's helped with the tiles, on my flooring, because I don't like carpet. I think carpet is absolutely disgusting. With the type of dirt that gets accumulated in it, and just how it's easily stained. So I got some textiles on the floor. He's helped me out with that. He's helped me build my fence or this, that, and the other. So yeah, he made a lucrative business out of it, right? This is what I encourage blue collar guys to do. Build a business out of what you do. Now, yeah, carpet sucks. Now here's the thing, right? I sort of follow that same advice, even for somebody like myself who is, classified as a white collar person, right? I mean, yeah, listen, if you see me, you guys see me in my live streams, you guys see me in my daily life, I am anything but white collar, but, you know what I mean? Under the classifications of things, that's what I am. I'm a white collar guy. I went to school for public relations. I was interned with, California politicians, state assemblymen. That is my background, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think you would classify military as blue collar, is it? Or, I guess that's a classification for a different service. But even with that, obviously, my degree and what I went to school for was media communications. Guess what I'm doing with it? I'm going on YouTube and basically exercising the skills that I learned in college with you guys, right? Communicating stuff about MMA, world politics, things that I'm interested in, streets, all of that. He says, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, carpet sucks. Yes, I agree. I agree, Marty. Yeah, carpet definitely sucks. It's, yeah, so yeah, that is the only choice that you have in modern America, right? You got to go out there and create a new business because, right now, unfortunately, a lot of people are getting exploited left and right. So people are getting fired from their jobs. There's a huge layoff in labor. There's a huge layoff in what is that? Amazon. But yeah, Ali Khan, listen, I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, right? Live with your parents until you save up money to buy a house. I agree with that. That is actually the advice that I would give to young men all over the world. Okay, that is the advice that I would give to them. And simply because, look, you know what? An advice like that, unfortunately, an advice like that doesn't sit well with the modern metropolitan image that many Americans want to live under, right? Oh, well, I'm living independent, I'm living on my own, or this, that, and the other. Yeah, but you're doing it in a way where you're now accumulating debt. You're now accumulating debt. And as a result of accumulating debt, you're not gaining anything from anything that you're working towards, right? You're not saving up anything. Like, look, think about this, right? Everybody is working night and day, and yet have nothing to show for it because they can't save anything. Now that sucks, man. That absolutely sucks. That absolutely sucks. But I get it. And in other countries, it could be worse. You know what I mean? It's worse in other countries. I know that a lot of people complain about how hard life is in America. But at the same time, dude, can I be honest with you about something? Let me tell you what I don't like about other parts of the world, aside from America. I hate the fact that the toilet, sanitary, and other places in the world are not up to par. No, really. Like, is it weird to say that I could never live anywhere else in the world but America because the toilet, sanitary, and other places in the world absolutely suck ass? Like, is that, listen, be honest with me, chat. Is that racist to say? Like, is it racist to say that I would not live anywhere else in the world because of, sanitary conditions? And I ain't even talking about specific countries or anything like that. I'm not even talking about, country A or country B. I'm just talking about countries outside of America. You know what I mean? Like, their toilet sanitary absolutely sucks in third world countries. It is just absolutely appalling, and I would never in my life live in a condition like that, ever. But America is a little bit different, right? America, has cleaner sanitation, higher standard of living. But the problem is, let's say you get sick. America doesn't give a damn about you if you get sick. It really doesn't. Luigi Mangione showed you guys that. He showed you that America does not care about you when you are sick. They don't. They don't care about you. They don't give a damn about you. They don't give a damn about what you got going on, just as long as you can pay the money that is needed for you to stay alive. That is the reality. That is the unfortunate reality of America. That is the unfortunate reality of America. Everything is in high standards. Everything is in great condition until it's not. Now, granted, you got to understand, right? Every part of the world offers something different. They offer something completely different. In England, you got NHS. You got free healthcare. But do you have freedom of speech in England? No, you don't. You don't have freedom of speech in England. I have a lot of Muslim brothers in England that love it when these white nationalist dudes get arrested, like Tommy Robinson. They love it when this dude gets arrested. They love it when Nick Griffin, all of these right-wing, anti-Islamophobes in England, they love it when they get arrested. But I got to warn my fellow Muslim brothers in England, you need to understand, the pendulum swings both ways, okay? You think that these non-Muslim white boys are, getting cracked on by the law or this and that. Next, guess what? You could be next. And lo and behold, they did. I had a homeboy in England, a white Muslim convert homeboy. His name was Daniel Tawheed, right? Anybody that's on the online Salafi Sunni Muslim community knows who this guy is. Daniel Tawheed. MI6 and Scotland Yard arrested this fool. You want to know why? You want to know why they arrested him? They arrested him because he was setting up marriages for Muslim brothers to marry other Muslim sisters. So he was basically running a marriage a marriage camp, or whatever it is that he basically matchmaker. He was a Muslim matchmaker, white Muslim convert from England, Daniel Tawhid. They locked him up, all because he was trying to get people to get married. Now, listen, do I think that there's more to it than that? Of course, there were other things behind that. There were other things attached to terrorism that they threw in there. And quite frankly, I don't know anything about that, but that's what they said. But to me, from face value alone, it just looks like a guy that was setting up marriages for people in the Muslim community. That doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world, is it? But I don't know. To some people, that sounded like the worst thing ever. So I don't know what to say, man. You know? I don't know what to say to that. Like I said, the pendulum swings both ways. So, yeah, that's basically me going on a tangent about the difference between America and other places. Obviously, England, as I was telling you, has the NHS, free healthcare, but it doesn't have freedom of speech. And that's what sucks about England, is that they don't have freedom of speech. They don't let anybody speak their mind. They're afraid when people start speaking their mind. And so that's just what it really comes down to. But still, by the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people can argue with the fact that America has, you know, the highest standards of living. Which is why, look, the fact that America has the highest standard of living is also the reason why. That is also the reason why they exploit people in this country. You understand? They exploit people in this country simply because they could. He says, do you ever visit your parents much? Of course, yes. Yes, I do. Yeah, man, I do. They visit here more often, I would say. Well, I tell you what, right? So, my mom is in the Philippines, and my father, you know, has been living in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, both Saudi Arabia and Egypt for several years now. Well, look, my father passed away, so you know, that's the best way to really put it, right? You know, my father passed away. I don't really like talking about my personal life, but let me just say that my father passed away during the time of when I was in here with you guys. Put it like that, right? Like, that's how much I don't reveal my my personal life at all. Oh, yours too, brother. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so you can relate, man. You can relate. You know, it's one of those you know, Khabib like situations, right? You know what I mean? Where his father passes away, and then you know, everything changes after that. So yeah, man, I gotcha, man. You know, I'm sorry to hear that with your father as well. You know, but that's the thing, isn't it? You know, life goes on. Going back to the Eddie Hearn and the Dana White situation, right? Eddie Hearn once said, you know what, he's not going to continue promoting fights forever, because he says that this business is very bitter. It makes you cold. It makes you very jaded towards the world, and he doesn't want to live like that forever. So he says that there's a time limit to where he wants to do this. And you know what? Speaking of Eddie Hearn, right? Eddie Hearn is a closet Christian. He doesn't talk about his Christianity as much, and that's probably the same reason why Anthony Joshua doesn't talk much about being a Muslim. Because Eddie Hearn taught him that, hey, you know what? Nobody is interested in your faith. No one cares what God you pray to, Anthony Joshua. So you have to keep it under wraps. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to keep it under wraps because everybody in England is somehow like, you know what it is? Yo, these white dudes in England that are like atheists, they get so offended when they talk about religion, right? Anytime you talk about religion, whether it's positive or negative, they just have this negative reaction towards it. Like, oh man, religion talk again, this and that, you know? Yeah, sorry to you, man. Oh, when I was 17. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that was way long ago. Yeah, but man, mine was recently, in fact, during this year. He says, you hear Jake Paul came out saying he's embracing the Jewish heritage. Man, Jake Paul's becoming like another Floyd. He says, yeah, that's exactly how Bisping is. Yeah, man, Bisping, that is a stereotypical British man, right? Whenever you talk about religion, they talk about, well, I'm not really religious, I'm a good person, right? That's what they always say, I'm a good person, right? I'm not going to talk about religion, I'm a good person, I don't need religion in my life. That is what they do. You know what I mean? That is what they do. Bisping is the quintessential example of that. But yeah, man, that's what it really comes down to. Anti-religion. That's their stance on everything, even if it's talking about positive, right? You talk about like, oh, well, you know, I had a great Ramadan or I had a great Eid and I'm really feeling spiritually fulfilled. Oh, well, you know what? I don't have a religion. You know, religion is not for me. You know, but I respect everybody that talks about religion, and next thing you know, they put up memes of, the Prophet Muhammad, yet they don't care about religion, yet they respect other religions. Victory says, good is just a subjective without God as a standard. Man, I'm marking that right there. That right there, yeah, yes, that is a fact right there. That is a fact. Yeah, good is as subjective without God as a standard. That's really what it comes down to. That's what it really comes down to, man. And nobody likes to talk about that. Nobody likes to talk about that. Look at this foggy weather right here in front of me. Yeah, I'm a good person. I don't need religion. That's what they say. It's like that here too. Oh, okay, a little foggy and all that, yeah.